Hi, everyone, and welcome to Get Hired Live. I'm your host for today, Brandi Fowler, news reporter for LinkedIn, and I'm stepping in for Andrew Seaman while he's away this week. I'm coming to you live from Atlanta in the LinkedIn office here, and we're going to be talking about something super fun today that I love to talk about, fashion in the workplace and during the interview. So please take a moment to introduce yourself. Tell us your name, where you're from, about your career. This is a great opportunity to network with each other too. And please drop any questions that you have about what we're chatting about today. I see people already introducing themselves. Israel from Mexico, Peter from South Africa, Grace from Louisiana, hi, Greg from Texas, David from California, hello, John from North Carolina, hello. Thank you everyone for joining us, and welcome to all of you. We have an amazing guest today. Brittany Diego, she is a celebrity fashion stylist based in LA, and she has extensive experience working with celebrities and companies including Revolve, BCBG, and more. And she also mentors aspiring stylists on her educational platform, Fashion Mentor. So Brittany, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Hello, thank you so much, Brandi. As you mentioned, my name is Brittany Diego. I'm a celebrity fashion stylist. I also teach up-and-coming stylists how to enter the fashion industry and generally teaching them everything I wish I knew before I graduated from fashion school. So that's what Fashion Mentor is all about, and passing along all of my industry knowledge.
Wonderful. Okay, everyone. So you apply, you land the interview, you prepped, you're ready, but then what do you wear? I think that's a question that trips a lot of people up, right? Because things have changed since the pandemic started. We don't go into the office like we used to. We're on Zoom now. It can be kind of confusing to figure out what to wear during those moments. So I want to start with, what is the first thing you should do when you're preparing to figure out what you want to wear for an interview?
Absolutely. The first thing you want to do is your research. So, we're living in a time where information is literally at our fingertips. So, research what that company's aesthetic, what their mission is, what their values are. And if that aligns with you, go ahead and, of course, apply and see what elements of that you can bring into your wardrobe. So, if they're a little bit more on the classic side, then, of course, you're going to show up to the interview or into the workplace that way. If you have a little bit more creative leeway, then adhere to that as well. So research is first and foremost.
Awesome. And there is a difference between dressing for interviews for a strict corporate culture as opposed to like a creative environment, as you mentioned. So what's a good idea in terms of like where to find out where you can get ideas for those clothes? Is it Pinterest? Is it asking people, in that industry what to wear for interviews?
Absolutely. So I love this question. I'm a huge fan of Pinterest. I'm always on there scrolling, and you can really get lost in just looking through outfit inspiration. So Pinterest is something I would always use when it comes to my clients, because that's my first point, is creating a mood board of sorts and determining what I want to wear. So my advice for people looking for interview or job outfits inspiration on Pinterest is, instead of entering general keywords like business casual or chic casual or whatever it might be, I always say, who is your style idol? So maybe you want to mimic a style that's more inspired by Mad Men, something more vintage, classic, sheath dresses, styles of that time. I would enter those characters' names in Pinterest so you can see how other people have styled looks inspired by those characters. Or maybe you're working for an environment where you can be like Molly from Insecure, where you're very fashionable, you're very chic, you're wearing these pink suits. So really, I like to say, find who your character inspiration is and go based off of that. So I'm a very visual person. I love to see what those people wear and see which pieces resonate with me and bring that into my own wardrobe style.
Speaking of visuals, is there anything that you should avoid when you're dressing for interviews in terms of colors or patterns? Like how much is too much? How casual is too casual?
So this really comes down to the company that you're working for. So in a creative industry like mine, in the fashion industry, we can have pretty much all the leeway. And that's one thing that I learned when I started interviewing right after fashion school, is you want to kind of reflect that company's aesthetic. So let's say you're interviewing for the fashion industry, you're interviewing for a company like Free People, where the style is very bohemian. You're going to want to reflect that, because in your interview, you want them to be be able to visualize you working at that company. And that's probably how the employees already dress. Or as opposed to a more edgy company where people wear all black, leather, that kind of thing. You know, I worked at fashion companies where people are wearing leather booties and different types of styles. So there's really different types. So you have to really go by that company's aesthetic. Now, for a more traditional, if you're in the law, you're a lawyer, or if you're in the accounting industry, of course, you want to stick to classic, polished, sophisticated styles.
Awesome. And I think we have to talk about jewelry and shoes too, especially like if you're going into the office. How simple should you keep your jewelry and your shoes? And I know that can differ between creative and corporate, but can you talk about, making sure that you're not wearing something that's too distracting?
Yes, absolutely. So again, when it comes to the fashion industry, we can get away with a lot with creative industries. I love statement jewelry personally, but if you're more on the corporate side, then definitely it's best to keep it simple and polished. So very dainty jewelry, I would stick to more classic pieces. So stud earrings, maybe you wouldn't show up if you're a lawyer. You probably wouldn't be wearing something like this, or a loud print such as a houndstooth, but you can do something more simple such as, polka dots or maybe small stripes, but nothing too dramatic that would create an optical illusion, especially if you're working remotely and you're on Zoom, and that could just be distracting if you're wearing too many prints that might clash. So definitely stick to a more safer side when you're on the more corporate side of the industries.
Absolutely. And let's switch things up to talk about when you get the job and you go into work. I mean, and it's kind of different because, a lot of companies are still hybrid right now, but there are some companies that are, back in the office. So what can you say in terms of like, when you go into the office, what is off limits in terms of things to wear? Is it ripped jeans? Is it, skirts that are a little bit too tight? Is it flip flops? Like, I feel like we need to talk about it because people could, think they could do whatever now that we're, coming out of the pandemic a little bit.
Yes. So my motto is, if you can't wear it to church, then you probably don't want to wear it to work. So nothing too tight, nothing too short, because one thing that I will say about fashion is you want to present yourself and be confident in whatever it is that you ultimately decide to wear. Fashion is the ultimate form of self-expression. So you want to show up as your best self. And number one is to be comfortable. That is my number one fashion tip, because the last thing you want is to, one, be uncomfortable, but it's so painful on my end to see someone wearing their new Christian Louboutins or whatever heels that they're wearing the first day of work and they haven't broken it in yet. So you want to make sure that you're wearing something you're comfortable with. Yes, you might want to show off that new outfit, but try that outside of work hours so you know how it's worn, and make sure that you look like you know what you're doing, because I'm sure we've all seen girls or anyone who is wearing heels and they look uncomfortable. They can't really walk. They're kind of wobbling. So you want to avoid and mitigate any situations where you look uncomfortable, because as much as it's painful for you, it's as painful for us to view that as well.
Absolutely. And I think too, outside of the office on Zoom, I think people can get a little bit too comfortable with what they're wearing on Zooms. Can you talk about if there's anything off limits? Like I've seen, people wear scarves, or like head scarves that you would wear to bed, or like
Oh
t-shirts, and
my
like, yes.
gosh.
So what is
Wow.
inappropriate for a Zoom call?
Yes. So basically, anything that you woke up in, you do not want to wear on a Zoom, that including scarves. And even though a lot of people are doing either a hybrid model or remote, you still want to dress the part, because this is the thing. Clothing affects not only how you feel about yourself, but how you carry yourself. So when you look good and you feel good, you're your best self. So even though nobody is probably seeing your bottom half, I'm still wearing heels because it makes me carry myself in a different manner than I would if I was wearing my fuzzy slippers. So even though no one can see you, you still want to dress the part and dress for success, because it affects the overall way that you carry yourself. And that reflects on camera and to the people that you're communicating with via Zoom.
Right. And just since we've been talking kind of fast, I want to make sure that we hit some key points. So you want to make sure that you're comfortable, that you're wearing something that shows your personality and that you feel good in. And then also you want to make sure that you look the part for the culture that you're trying to get into, basically.
Yes.
Am I missing anything?
Um, Overall, the way I would sum all of that up is just be your authentic self.
Yeah.
So I believe after, the pandemic and everything, you like the rules, the game has changed. So you want to show up as your authentic self. Even 20 years ago, having tattoos was taboo, but now I walk into a place and I see workers with tattoos, and personally I don't have them, but they make me so happy to see that people are showing up as their true selves and not hiding those parts of themselves. So I feel like before you had to hide those parts, you had to hide what makes you, your unique personality traits, but now it's all about being authentic, because representation is just so important. And if you see someone in a corporate role who has tattoos and you have tattoos, then that means that you believe, okay, they look like me, I could do that too. So just show up as your authentic self, because you never know who you're inspiring.
Absolutely. And I just want to take a moment to say hi to some more people that have joined us. Fear from Kenya, Rosam, excuse me if I'm saying that incorrectly, from Canada, Andres from Mexico. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. And please keep dropping those questions so we can get those answered for you. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and take a couple of questions if that's okay. First, what is your advice for finding your professional style?
My advice is, this is the way I work with my styling clients, is find someone who you're inspired by, and take elements of their style and whatever resonates with you, that you feel aligned with, then adopt that for yourself. So my process would go finding that person and going on a Pinterest or even Instagram or Google Images and start collecting photos of things that you really like, and then make a list of items that you want, because it could get so overwhelming when you go shopping or even online shopping. You think you know what you want, but then you get to the store and it's like, okay, I'm lost. So make an actual list, whether you want blazers, whether you need trousers, whether you need dresses, whether you need new shoes. So make a list of the things that you want and need in your wardrobe, and take that with you and make it happen.
I love that. And that question was from Nicole. So thank you very much, Nicole. And Stacy asked, part of the anxiety that comes with the first day of work is that you don't know the dress code. How do you work around this? Ooh, that's a good one.
That's a really good one. So, as far as that, you of course want to do your research on the company's aesthetic, but don't just look on their website, look on their Instagram. If you can find the employees on LinkedIn, maybe you might want to schedule a virtual 15-minute coffee date with them and ask them about the company culture, because that company culture is going to tell you a lot about what people are expected to look like in that role.
So, so good. Yeah, that company culture is everything to pay attention to. And then also, Linda asked, I recently started my career, so I'm building my wardrobe from scratch. What are some staple pieces I should start off with? And I'm asked that so many times too.
I absolutely love that question. So, staple pieces are the ones that you really want to invest in with great quality fabrics, because you're going to be wearing them pretty often. So, natural fabrics are the ones that you want to gravitate towards the most. Yes, they might be an investment up front, but it'll be so worth it because you're going to get so much wear out of them. So, items like blazers, if you can get your blazer tailored, then that's just perfection. You want to have your go-to blazer. I have several in different colors, in different prints. I'm a print person, as you could tell. So having blazers, button-up shirts, trousers. One of my go-to pieces that's just easy is having a jumpsuit, because you don't even have to think about it. It's one piece, it's already put together, and you can feel free to accessorize it however you'd like. So having those core pieces, and of course your shoes, your bags, people look at those items first. So you want to make sure that they look top notch, and quality is the word of the day.
Absolutely. Such great tips. Thank you so much. And then also Maggie asked, do you have any tips on makeup for interviews?
Definitely stay on the natural side, I would say. Just play it safe in the beginning.
Awesome. And I wanted to throw in a question about hair, because we've talked about this a bit. Like, do you have any tips for what you should do with your hair, and how simple should you keep it?
I say that's really a part of yourself. Classic styles I would definitely adhere to. So a bun, a slick back ponytail, hair down. I personally, I've done like colored hair myself, but maybe not in the interview. Maybe show that once you get a better handle of what the role entails and what they expect from you. So different things like that, I think you'd find out in your research on the company culture as well.
Awesome. And then Dolores asks, what are your thoughts on capsule wardrobes?
I love a capsule wardrobe. So this is a thing. I'm gonna be completely transparent. As a
Uh-huh.
fashionista, as a stylist, I have way too many clothes, but I respect people who can do the capsule wardrobe. It's just easy, especially if you don't want to get decision fatigue. If you've ever heard that term, anybody in the audience. So the less decisions you have to make, the better, because you can focus on the your work day. So having a capsule wardrobe allows you to mix and match your core pieces and the staples that I just mentioned. And I also want to mention something I forgot to expand on in the previous question regarding blazers and natural fabrics for your clothing. Look for cottons, linens, wools. Those tend to look more upscale, more luxurious, and more sophisticated.
Okay, thank you very much. And there was one thing that we didn't touch on. I mean, this is obvious, but I just wanted to also say, as you're dressing for interviews or really for Zoom for work, maybe just leave those PJs off the chat, I think. Leave them
Absolutely,
off. Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. This has been an awesome chat. If you have any last minute questions, please drop those. If not, thank you, everyone, for joining us. On Monday, August 1st, my colleague, Nina Melendez, will be speaking with Redfin's Deputy Chief Economist, Taylor Marr, about the state of the housing market. They will discuss what higher rates mean for prices, inventory, and demand. Again, that's Monday, August 1st at 3 p.m. Eastern Time from the LinkedIn news page. Oh, sorry, guys. There's one more question before we go. So I don't know how to pronounce this name. I'm going to try. Hurizin. I know I'm getting that wrong, so I apologize to you. There's one more question. Is there a vintage and classic dress for success online sites that you would recommend that won't break your budget or bank account?
I would recommend Unique Vintage, which is a company based here in LA, where I'm at. But they do have an online store. That's the first store that comes to mind. They have a beautiful selection. But of course, you can enter in sites like Unique Vintage and find, even go thrifting. If you're into the in person experience, thrifting can be so fun. It's like literally a treasure hunt. So I would recommend thrifting as well to find unique pieces that most people won't have.
That's a really great tip. I know a lot of people who thrift and find amazing pieces, and you can find those staple pieces too, and really interesting and cool things. So that's a great tip. Yeah, and you can
And I
save money doing that too.
Yes, you can save money and you never know what treasures you might come across. I've came across designer items such as Issey Miyake, which is a legendary fashion couture designer from Japan, for under $10. You won't be able to find that in stores. So don't sleep on thrift shopping.
Yeah, and while we're talking about it, can you just throw out a couple more like budget-friendly stores or online boutiques that you would recommend?
Oh, absolutely. So I would say J. Crew, Express, Banana Republic. Those are probably the staple go-tos when it comes to workwear.
Awesome. Okay, well, thank you so much, Brittany. Brittany Diego, thank you for joining us on Get Hired Live. And for everyone watching, make sure you follow her for more tips on how to dress for work and interviews. Obviously, she's very knowledgeable. And again, thank you to all of you for joining us. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you for having me. Bye, everyone.
Bye.